It was a long walk. It was a very long walk. The sun, powerful enough in these latitudes, enough to quickly irritate even his deeply bronzed skin, was now comfortably held at bay, aloft, as he strode beneath the canopy of arching trees. He had never walked these roads before, his head gradually turning side to side as he does so, assessing each situation as it comes into view. He heard the noisy rumble of a FAW tourist train. FAW because it did not run on rails, but merely drove through the streets as a wagon train. He hears the guide's authoritative voice projecting through the bullhorn, trotting out historical trivia in well-rehearsed cadences. Then the red traffic light turns green, and the engine roars, groaning as it attempts to accelerate, pulling with all its might against the impossible inertia of so many overweight tourists. This makes him feel tired. He finds a bench. He sits down. It feels good to rest. So of course I have to pay a visit to the home of the late and great Ernest Hemingway. He is, of course, a Key West legend, as well as a literary giant. The line is long, but it does move quickly. And soon enough, I'm right at the booth, ready to pay my $14 admission fee and enter the house for the tour.
This is the start. What's giving you a museum? How's that sound? Good. Something you never think is going to happen, then does, right? Everyone, take photographs anywhere you'd like here, including inside, which is pretty amazing for a museum, yeah. The only thing I have to request is that you not take video while...
Well, sorry, folks. No video is allowed of the tour. So if you want to see the tour of Ernest Hemingway's home, you're going to have to come to Key West and pay the $14 and take the tour. And it was a good tour, by the way. I recommend it. I was pleasantly surprised to find a very vibrant live music scene in Key West. There were mostly cover bands, of course, but very skilled musicians as well as good entertainers, I found.
Come on in, bring the children. Come on, we got shots for tots. Come on.
All the action seems to be on Duval Street, where the party carries on into the wee hours of the morning, even on weekday nights. Yes, they actually did play Freebird. Somebody must have tipped them $1,000. Meanwhile, back out in the mooring field, we have a cold front going through. So this is one of the drawbacks of this mooring field here in Garrison Bight. Presently, we just had a front go through, so we got northerly winds, around 20 knots. And as you can see, this is exposed to the north. It's actually not quite as exposed as it looks, because about 2 miles north of here, you get into very shallow water, which prevents the waves from building. But still, there's a good couple of miles of thatch. As you can see, we're all dancing around in here. Didn't get too much sleep last night. It was rather uncomfortable. This is the first time, I've been here 2 weeks, and this is the first time we've had strong northerlies. Most of the time it's been quite comfortable in here. But this happens when the front goes through. Despite being exposed to northerly winds, in the over 1 mile long dinghy ride from the dock to the mooring, I had a good stay at City Marina at Garrison Bight, and I plan to return. Ahoy, everybody. It is Monday morning, around 6:30, 18th of March, 2019, and our mooring contract with Garrison Bight Marina just ran out. I have to go in and return the key. So the plan today is to sail to Boca Grande Key, which is about 15 miles west of Key West. It's right about right where this wind flag is. And there's a couple reasons I want to go there. One is it just looks like kind of a cool place. There's nothing out here. I don't expect to have even cell phone service out here. So once I get out here, my only weather is I'm gonna be back to the VHF weather. Another reason I want to go to Boca Grande is I want to find a small beach to practice flying my new Phantom 3 drone. I'm not allowed to fly a drone anywhere in Key West. It's all restricted airspace because of the airport and the military base. So I have to go a little further afield. And unlike the splash drone, this drone is not waterproof. So I want to practice flying off of land first before I attempt to practice takeoff and landing from the boat. So off we go to Boca Grande Key. Now the concern here is we have a cold front going through. And so right now we got northeast winds about 13 knots. That's about right. I can hear the halyards slapping. And it's going to persist today. That's still a fair wind to get to Boca Grande. And then easing up a bit this afternoon, so hopefully it'll be a little lighter, so I'll be able to get a flight in this afternoon, assuming we make it to Boca Grande by, say, 2 in the afternoon or so. And now, okay, so tonight, we got 15 knots, so not terrible. And tomorrow, 13, still pretty nice winds, and even getting light, so I'll have some chance. By this forecast, I'll have a chance to do some more flying tomorrow. This forecast has changed a lot. Just the last forecast, they were showing winds around this time tomorrow. You can see it looks like this low is not gonna. The last forecast, they had a low forming just south of the Keys here. So right about now they were showing northeast winds about 25-30 knots. But now we're just getting light winds, so that's cool. And then it's going to come kind of east-southeast. Northeast. So then Wednesday, Wednesday we're going to finally get some brisk northeasterlies, about 19 knots. 14 knots northerly. And then Thursday, looks like a pretty good day to sail back. Thursday I was either going to go back to Newfound Harbor or go back to Marathon, because now I want to start my trek back toward, to get back to Miami. And the one thing that's occurring to me now is that we get a lot of easterly winds this time of year, so getting to Miami, we might have to do some waiting before we can go to Miami, because I would want to go outside, get in the Gulf Stream. Now the cruising guide and sort of the official park guides that you'll come across on the internet say that Boca Grande is only a daytime anchorage. However, I did find some cruiser logs which state that Boca Grande actually offers pretty good protection. And the reason why is you can see these sort of gray areas. These are flats. And these dry out at low tide. And the tidal range is only about 2.5 feet here. So if you get up in here and anchor, you're surrounded by very shallow water. So while you don't have any protection from the wind, you will have very little wave action. And one cruising log I came across said that they had weathered several hard blows in here. And it was, while there was a lot of wind, the wave action was minimal. So that's good. Generally, it's wave action that'll yank your anchor out more than wind, as long as the winds aren't too excessive. So hopefully this will be a fairly protected place if this weather gets ugly on us.
While sailing up to a mooring is often a tricky maneuver, especially in a crowded mooring field, sailing off of a mooring can be quite simple, so long as you prepare your lines beforehand. Since I was staying a month on that mooring, I had 2 hawsers attached to the mooring plus a safety, so 3 lines in total. So what I'm doing right now is removing one of them. And then the other hawser, what I'm doing right now, I'm going to double end. As you see, it went from the cleat to the eye in the mooring hawser and then back to the cleat. So the line is double ended. And I'm tying that on right now. So with that done, now I can untie the remaining hawser. And this will make it much easier to sail off the mooring, as we'll see in a minute. So you can see it double-ended here. It goes to the cleat, through the mooring hawser eye, and then back to the cleat. So then all we need to do is raise sail, and when we're ready to take off, release one of the ends of the line, and then just pull it right through the eye in the mooring hawser, and away we go. So I just pulled the line through, and we are cast off right now, and I'm backing the staysail just to get her off onto starboard tack. There we go. You can see the mooring off to the right there on the starboard side. And so now we just got to sheet in and get her moving. You want to get as much way on her as quickly as possible, because without any way on the boat, you have no control with the rudder. So that's what I'm doing right now, sheet the staysail. And now I'm going to scurry forward and pull the peak halyard up on the mainsail. And so there goes the peak halyard. And so now it's peaked up. So now she's got some power and she should begin to accelerate. So we arrive in Boca Grande in good time, about 3 hours after departing Key West. But this last little bit is proving frustratingly slow, because not only do we have to tack up into the anchorage, but we're fighting the ebbing current, which runs at about 1 to 2 knots through here. And going upwind and up current, in a gaff rig boat no less, is slow and painful. But with some patience, we make it to our spot, and down come the sails, down goes the anchor, and we just coil up, furl up, and we're all set. Unfortunately, the weather forecast we got from Windy this morning was a little bit optimistic. Overnight, rain moves in, and by morning the winds have built to 30 to 35 knots out of the northeast. And so life is not very comfortable right now. Luckily, those flats are really cutting down on the wave action. If that was actual open deep water, probably this anchorage would be untenable in these conditions. But as it is, we have about a half a meter, maybe a meter of wind chop.
but so long as you survive the storm. Sooner or later, the winds go down and the sun comes out, and all is well again. So here's a tip for you. If you just put fresh anti-fouling paint on the bottom of the dinghy, and you don't want to sand it off just yet by pulling the dinghy up on the beach, use your docking fender and roll it up on the beach. And at long last, I get to fly my new drone.